Okay, so Payday 3's 7th dev update video gives us the rundown of Update 9, releasing tomorrow on August 19th. This is the most content-heavy update so far.
Discord is now in session, Heisters.
With a bunch of free content, including a new weapon and heist, some Operation Medic Bag improvements, a couple of new systems, and a whole DLC pack, this is a big one. Let's start off with the Land of the Free DLC pack. Now renamed to Houston Breakout, this heist sees the Payday gang breaking into a New York courthouse during the trial of our old friend Houston. This was of course set up at the end of the Boys in Blue DLC, and given the nature of this heist and the fact that the Payday gang themselves are the primary beneficiaries, I'm going to hazard a guess and say that Shade will be our contractor. Now, I should probably mention that while I am a Starbreeze partner, so do technically have access to play the heist early, I don't yet have a PC, so can't actually play the early build. So even though I have seen a tiny bit more than the rest of the community, I haven't actually played the heist myself. Therefore, when I say that I'm guessing Shade will be our contractor, it is a genuine guess. I don't know, and I haven't heard from any of the other partners. What I do know is that the heist can of course be tackled in both loud and stealth. When approaching the heist in loud, we'll be using a thermal drill to make our way into Houston's dock and breaking him out right there and then in the middle of the courtroom. But in stealth, well, not much has actually been shown just yet, so for now, the stealth approach remains a mystery. To aid us in our attempt to save Dallas's brother, this DLC's weapon pack is full of burst fire weapons. We're going to be getting the Chanit S3 assault rifle, M7 Pursuivant shotgun, and the Pachio Duro 5 pistol. This weapon pack also includes the Free Country charm and gavel sticker, and of course a DLC wouldn't be complete without some cosmetics as well. The Tailor Pack focuses on the types of people you'd encounter in a courtroom, with the civil suit, court order, dangerous habits, and Judgment Day outfits, as well as their corresponding gloves and some brand new masks. The Dealmaker, Hush Money, Your Honor, and Breakout, which is of course a damaged version of Houston's classic mask. Now, what this says to me is that when Houston inevitably returns as a playable heister, he'll have his classic mask. So you'll have the option to play with Houston's default mask, which will just be his classic mask, or you can switch over to the Breakout mask if you want that added bit of grit. This is of course different from how Hoxton was handled when he returned to Payday 2, because of course when Hoxton returned, his original mask was taken by Houston. Now, we all know that in Payday 2, Hoxton isn't exactly Houston's biggest fan, and that makes sense because Houston kind of usurped Hoxton's identity, but I wonder if now that both Hoxton and Houston have gone through this experience of being arrested, thrown into prison, and then broken out by the Payday gang, whether or not they'll sort of find a new kinship for each other and become slightly more friendly than they were in Payday 2. And that does it for the paid content, so let's move on to the bit everybody loves, the free stuff. But just before we do that, I want to take a moment to say that if you are enjoying this video, please consider subscribing. We are ever so close to 2,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy to me considering that only a few months ago I asked if we could hit 500 subscribers before Boys in Blue released. So let's see if we can push to 2K before Houston Breakout comes out in just over 24 hours. September is going to be a big month here on the channel, and that's all I'm gonna say. Right, back to the free content, and this update is full of it. Payday 3 is getting its first all-new free heist, Diamond District. Contracted by Beckett, this heist tasks us with robbing 5 jewelry stores all on one high street. The famous New York Diamond District on 47th Street, no less. Again, this heist can also be tackled in both loud and stealth, and while we're talking about this heist, I just want to point out that both this heist and the Houston Breakout heist look absolutely huge, which I'm hoping is indicative of them having some really nice variable objectives. Again, I want to be very clear, I've not had the opportunity to play these heists yet, but just from the shots that we've seen in these trailers, there seems to be a lot of play space in both heists, and therefore a lot of places to design objectives around. I understand that that's probably very wishful thinking, but even if we haven't made the jump to fully RNG heists with a million different variations just yet, I'm really looking forward to playing Diamond District in particular, as it looks like it has 5 different stores that are going to play completely differently. Whether that's because each store has its own layout or its own set of security systems, Diamond District has the potential to feel like 5 heists in one, and that really excites me. The game is also getting its first new type of secondary weapon in the form of the Tribune machine pistol. This fully automatic sidearm isn't exactly the hardest hitting weapon in the game, but seemingly makes up for its weaker damage stat with its rapid fire rate. It's honestly going to be really nice to have another type of secondary weapon, and actually I could see this synergizing quite well with one of the 2 new skills coming with the this update, Locked and Loaded. This skill allows ammo pickups you collect to directly enter the magazine of your unequipped weapon, provided you have edge. Think of it as ammo funnel for the weapon you're not holding. Imagine creating a close quarters SMG build for something like the Ziv Commando and switching back and forth between that and this new secondary weapon, using something like Gunslinger to maintain edge for a practically never-ending chain of fire. The other skill coming with this update is Headhunter, that restores 1 round to your weapon's magazine for each enemy you take out with a headshot, as long as you have edge, and it has a 1.5 second cooldown. Yeah, I think this is a far less impactful skill if you ask me. I can think of some uses for it that I'm interested in testing, but its cooldown and edge requirement make it something that I imagine won't be used too often. On the topic of skills though, Assassin's Metal could be getting a buff. In the last update, the text for the skill changed to hint that it may work with a single armor chunk rather than requiring you to have no armor at all. For those of you who may need a refresher, Assassin's Metal is the skill that grants you HP for taking out a marked enemy, but only if you have no armor. If this change comes with this update, you'll be able to gain HP if you have 1 armor chunk or less, essentially meaning that single armor chunk builds can leverage virtually endless adrenaline without the need to bring along medic bags. And of course, you can take that even further if you played the right way with adaptive armor. Genuinely, that change could lead to some really fun, loud overkill builds, but obviously that's assuming that the Assassin's Metal buff does come with this update, which it might not. I'm just assuming that it could be because of the updated skill description that happened with the last update. But all this talk about health and armor brings us quite nicely onto the addition of the new Consumables system that allows you to pick up first aid and armor repair kits and store them for later. You'll be able to use them for yourself or drop them for your teammates. The new Trip Laser gadget is also making its way into the game with this update, allowing you to mark an unlimited amount of enemies and NPCs that cross the 3-meter laser. This is going to be a great gadget to place on doorways or tight corridors to help you make the best use of some of those skills that need marked enemies. After a relatively lengthy delay, daily challenges are also debuting in this update, with 3 challenges of varying length given to each player per day. From what we've seen so far, these challenges can be anything from picking a handful of locks all the way to completing 3 different loud heists. Each challenge rewards you with 400 infamy points as well as 30 C-stacks, which is quite a generous amount. And of course, if you don't feel like completing one of the 3 challenges, you're allowed to re-roll 1 challenge per day. I really like the daily challenges system. I'm just a bit surprised that they all grant the same reward. I mean, completing 3 loud heists takes a little more effort than picking 10 locks, and I would have thought that it would have been reflected in the rewards. However, 90 C-stacks per day is way more than I thought we'd ever be getting, so you won't catch me complaining. Remember, these challenges were initially supposed to release alongside the Mask of the Week system, but as they didn't, the price of the Mask of the Week was reduced to 100 C-stacks. Although we were told that when the daily challenges system did arrive, the price would be increased to 200 C-stacks, so don't be surprised if the next mask costs 200 C-stacks. On the subject of masks, Update 9 brings 3 new ones, but we haven't exactly had a close look at them yet, so there's not really much to discuss just yet. But if you participated in the Mask Mania event, this update will grant you the Shakedown Shark Mask. For those of you who didn't take part in the event, it'll be locked behind a challenge. We don't know what the challenge is just yet, but as they have been described as hardcore challenges, I wouldn't expect it to be too easy. Of course, the animation team are back at it once again. This time, they've cooked up some fun animations to complement the communication wheel, and I'm also really looking forward to checking out the inspect animations for the new weapons. Last but certainly not least, this update brings a brand new set of Twitch drops, a diving mask, a beach ball weapon charm, and a set of stickers. So make sure to stop by your favorite Payday Twitch streamers when the DLC drops. While I'm not going to be able to stream just yet, I will be live very shortly, and I really hope to talk a bit more about that in next weekend's video, where we'll also be discussing Payday 3's roadmap, as that's finally being released and has been confirmed to be next week's blog post. So as always, let's keep the conversation going. Let me know what you think of the upcoming update releasing in just over a day from now in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, consider clicking that like button if you've enjoyed the video.
Court adjourned!
If you've not played Payday 3 in a while and everything in this update hasn't convinced you to give the game another chance yet, check out the video on screen now for an in-depth look at the last DLC. I'll be making another video similar to that one when Houston Breakout releases, and I'll see you in the next video.